the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. We wish to note the report of the Secretary General's Special Representative, Mr. David Shearer, and to assure you of our steadfast support for his initiatives and the peacekeeping operation, which is headed up by him of the United Nations in South Sudan. We also thank Betty Sunday for the information that she has provided. We are also grateful to the troop and police contributing countries within the mission. Mr. President, South Sudan is a very young state, a state that is at the threshold of a critical juncture in its history. And the objective of the international community is to provide the South Sudanese with the necessary assistance to surmount the challenges faced by the country. Moscow welcomes the recent progress and the headway made in the peaceful settlement to the issues in South Sudan. This was a consequence of the compromise agreements that were arrived at by the main parties to the South Sudanese process. We wish to highlight the important initiative undertaken by the President, Mr. Salva Kiir. He demonstrated political will and moved towards compromise on the administrative management of the country. Also, we note the decision of Riek Machar to join the process of establishing a government of national unity and to take up the post of the first vice president. We believe that the beginning of the establishment of the new governing bodies in the country and the conclusion of the pre-transitional period in previously agreed to timeline create the necessary conditions for South Sudanese progress towards political stability and national reconciliation, towards the successful resolution of urgent socioeconomic challenges for the benefit of the entire populace of South Sudan. We believe it is important that the parties stand ready to surmount their differences through candid and open dialogue. We look forward to the prompt finalization of all the necessary formalities and the pursuit of implementation of the Transitional Periods Agreement. We proceed from the following premise. Only full, comprehensive implementation by the parties with the obligations that they have assumed will help to bolster mutual trust and help to prevent a repeat of past mistakes. Mr. President, we note the general reduction of the armed violence levels and a general reduction in the number of intercommunal clashes since the revitalized agreement was signed in 2018. Improvements in the security situation has facilitated greater humanitarian access. There has been a visible and a significant drop in the number of human rights violations. This all has a favorable impact on South Sudanese refugee and IDP return trends as they return to their homes. We attribute this chiefly to the implementation of confidence-building measures and contacts engaged among the belligerents on the ground. It is important for these parties to continue to comply with the conditions of the ceasefire. We call upon the South Sudanese to stringently adhere to these agreements. Further, we call upon the non-signatories to the revitalized peace agreement to promptly join the state-building process. We highlight the efforts to that end undertaken by the Sant'Egidio community and those of the Italian government. Mr. President, we have repeatedly stated, and today once again we note, that the first fiddle in supporting the South Sudanese peace process should be played by regional players. In this connection, we welcome the efforts undertaken by IGAD, the African Union, Sudan, Kenya, Uganda, and the Republic of South Africa. It is important that their approaches continue to see unity prevail. This will help to advance the implementation of the principle of African solutions to African problems. We believe that progress in the South Sudanese settlement was facilitated not by stepped-up sanctions against the country, nor particularly by the imposition of unilateral restrictions. A key component in this progress was the contribution made by regional mediators, so we trust that the South Sudanese will be able to expeditiously reach agreement on the whole array of issues, which will give the Security Council the justification to conduct an assessment of the sanctions regime with a view to tailoring it to reflect realities on the ground. Thank you for your attention.
感谢俄罗斯。
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation.